I started doing workshops and doing groups where I'm getting up in front of others, like outside of the gym setting, and talking about resilience and perseverance and goal setting and vision and taking action.
You should know what 1 hour of your time is worth. You should know the value that you bring to the marketplace. You know what your passion is.
Starts with clarity of vision. If you don't have the clarity of vision, whatever next thing you get, you're not going to see it through because you don't have the clarity of vision. So the point of my pain was being told you will never run or jump again. And all that stuff, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to take this even bigger.
If you know why you do what you do, you have to know how to charge for what you do. That's how you're going to change your life, and that's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children and your family. You got to know your worth.
Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob, and I am back with episode number 359 of Shut Up and Grind. We were all about overcoming obstacles, defying the odds, and inspiring you to clear whatever's blocking the path to whatever success you want in this lifetime. So I usually give a tip of the day here, but instead I want to read a message I got earlier because I spoke on a different platform yesterday, and she writes, listening to your interview with Dawn was what I needed. Thank you. When you talked about purpose, I felt a light bulb go off in my head. When this episode drops, I will put it in my favorites and send it to people because they need to hear it. Saying that's why we do this. That's why we do this. I don't do this for me so I can get shine. I do this because there's people out there who are struggling. And there's enough negativity out there. If you're someone who's driven by negativity, just flip on the news. You got it all day long. This is a place where people can come and get inspired, right? Everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants financial stability, but a lot of people don't know how to clear their own internal clutter. So that's why I started this show after being told that I would never run a jump again in defying those odds. So there's something that you want to pivot to. Like if you're in any type of unfulfilled state in your life, listen to these guests that I bring on. I've had guests on from all over the world, 6 of the 7 continents. And my guest today is gonna talk about going from rock bottom to a global impact. So rock bottom, that's a tough place to be. And those of you who follow the show, you know I was just there 2 years ago. And I'm not gonna get into that because it's all about my guest, but I know when he's talking, I'm gonna feel exactly what he's talking about because like I said, I've been there. So who is said guest? Okay, we've got Kevin Palmieri. Sorry if I didn't say that right, but Kevin's going to open up about the day he nearly ended it all and how that breaking point became his breakthrough. So let's welcome Kevin to the show. How we doing?
I'm living the dream, Rob. I appreciate you having me, my friend. I'm sorry I'm not from Antarctica. I know you're trying to get that person from the next continent. It's not me, but I appreciate you having me, brother.
I love it. That's awesome. There it is. I had the background from my other show on. All right. So you said you're up in New Hampshire, right?
I am. Yeah. Anytime I hear somebody with a New England accent, I get excited because it's like, all right, this is my type of person here.
This is my people right here. Right? That's great. I love New Hampshire. Yeah, New Hampshire in Vermont in the summer and fall. You guys can keep that crap in the winter.
Yeah. My wife and I are going up to Vermont next week. So we will be up in Vermont next week. I'm super excited. I love it up there, and it's the best.
Yes. What part?
Vergennes?
I think I've heard of that because I've pretty much driven top to bottom.
Yeah, it's on Lake Champlain, but it is like an hour off of the beaten path in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
In the middle of those are the best parts of
yes, they are,
Vermont.
Brother. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love it out there. Oh man. All right. So let's dive in. So at your core, who is Kevin?
At my core, I'm somebody who did not have almost any level of self-belief, any level of self-worth, but I've always been somebody who wanted to lift other people up, even when I struggled to lift myself up. I would say that is me at the depth of my core.
Okay. And was there anything that caused you to have that lack of self-belief and lack of self-worth?
My guess is my dad left when I was young, and I think although it's highly illogical, I think I internalized the fact that he didn't want to stay around as I wasn't good enough, I wasn't valuable enough, and I wasn't worth it. And I think those three things created a lot of lack in my life that I didn't face until later on, unfortunately. Yeah.
And how old were you when you left?
My dad's not even on my birth certificate. So he essentially he was never really there, but it was, have you ever seen Liar Liar? Have you ever seen that movie?
I have, yes.
From what I've heard, it was very similar to that, where he would say he was going to come get me. He was going to say he was going to come pick me up, and he never did. And eventually it just got to the point where my mom said, look, you'd be better off if you just stopped making false promises. So essentially, I don't even know if he walked out is the right verbiage. I don't think he ever stepped in is probably better.
Okay. Yeah, if he's not on the birth certificate, that's probably true.
Makes sense.
So how did that affect you growing up? Like, did you struggle in school at all? Did you struggle making friends?
Interestingly enough, I did pretty well in school. I did pretty well with making friends. I think most of it for me was internal. I remember for some reason in middle school, the first day of school, you go around and you introduce yourself and you say, my mom does this for a job and my dad does this for a job. And I was like, my mom works in healthcare. And I just made up the fact that my dad was in construction because I had no idea what he did. And he seemed like, yeah, construction's a pretty good guess. So I think internally, I just always felt like I was different. I always felt like I was broken. I always felt like I was defective. And I always felt like the people closest to me, especially my family friends, kind of felt like I was a charity case. They knew my life, quote unquote, wasn't normal, and they wanted to help me make it normal. So a lot of it, I think, was more internal than external, honestly.
See, and I can identify with that. Like, one thing I learned from doing this podcast and all the guests that I bring on is that pain is pain. You know, it's like the source of the pain doesn't matter, because I felt exactly what you felt, but I had a bad stutter growing up, like very bad. And ironically, I'm a speaker now. But that, and like my brothers were all tall and muscular, and I was short and skinny. You know, so like those probably the first 7 years of my life, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I different? You know, so I totally understand that. But back to you. So what did you have? Like, did you have any childhood dreams? Like, did you aspire to be something?
Everything. Yeah. I wanted to be a professional wrestler when I was really young. I remember thinking if I could do that, oh my goodness, everything would be amazing. Then I wanted to be a stuntman. Okay. And you'll see a theme. The majority of my life has just been, I think I can probably outsuffer you. So I'm going to try to go in that direction. I don't know why, Rob. I didn't sign up for it, but... And then when the one that seemed like it was the most realistic and the one that I was most dedicated to is I wanted to be a professional fighter. That was my goal, was to fight professionally in mixed martial arts, and I did some training, but that was later in life. But yeah, when I was younger, it was professional wrestler, stuntman. That would be the best if I could do those two things for sure.
That's awesome. Would you believe, not at like professional level, but would you believe that I wrestled like that at the ripe old age of 38?
No, that's awesome.
I was supposed to just be a referee, but then my competitive side was like, we can do that, right? We can do that. So I only did it for like a year and a half. But let me tell you, even though the matches are scripted, that stuff is hard. It is hard. My first training day, I mean, that first week, I hurt for like 8 days, I want to say, after that first training. But like I ended up getting some private training, and I worked up to get one of the lower titles, but then I had donated a kidney to my sister, and I ended up taking a wrong hit. And so after that, I was like, I need to retire because I can't risk damaging my good kidney. So,
my goodness.
Like, and they knew to not land on me direct, but like I was waiting for the hit to come because like I was on the mat, and I turned right as he hit me. So I should have just waited, because I'm like, what is he doing? Like, he should have hit me by now. But anyways, that's a total sidetrack story.
I love it though. All right? I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. If I did it younger, I probably would have gone with it, because it really was a lot of fun. But All right, so back to you again. So what did you decide on for a career?
Nothing. I decided on nothing. And after high school, I decided I wasn't going to go to college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up working at a gas station pumping gas. That was my first job. I was making money while all my friends were at college, and at that point, I didn't think much beyond that. I was like, yep, this is what I'm doing for now. I guess we'll figure out the rest later. So, yeah, I never decided. I just jumped from thing to thing to thing to thing, unfortunately.
Hi, Shantae. I see you. Sorry, my niece jumped on.
No worries.
Yeah. So, all right. So you did that. You jumped around from thing to thing. You got a comment here. Both sound awesome. Thank you, MD. Appreciate that. All right. So you hit rock bottom. Let's talk about the path to getting there.
Yeah.
Right. So what just take me through it. Take me through the timeline.
Yeah. Oh man, I was like down on my luck, feeling hopeless, feeling terrible long before rock bottom ever came. I went to a job fair where you could learn a new skill because I could not get a good job. I was struggling to make money, and I was like, I am in a lot of trouble here. I am in trouble. I went to this job fair, and it was to learn a new skill called weatherization. All weatherization is if New England, it's big in New England. People come to your house and they blow insulation in your walls and they fix your attic because they want to save energy. All right, so it's a big government initiative. I learned this new skill. I got a job offer, and they said, you're going to be working with a company and you're going to be making anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour. And I said, there's no way this is real. This is not real. I'm going to get thrown in a trunk. There's no way this is real. It was real. It was a real job, and I went and met my boss. He said, hey, we'd love to have you. We got a job starting in 3 months. We'll call you when it's time to go. It's like, okay. So I end up getting this job where the first time I worked for them, I was getting paid $50 an hour, and I said, there's no way I don't understand how this happened. Like, how did I get so lucky to get this opportunity? So fast forward, I don't know, a year. At that point, I have a really good job. I'm getting ready to compete in a bodybuilding show, so I am quite literally in the best shape. I'm in good shape now. I was in way better shape then. Girlfriend at the time is a model. I have a nice car. I have a nice apartment. I have all the things. Great friends. From the outside looking in, I am the man and I am crushing it. From the inside out, I am insecure. I lack confidence. I lack self-worth. I lack direction. I lack clarity. I'm depressed and I'm anxious and nobody knows it. So eventually, I win my class for my bodybuilding show. Slowly but surely develop an eating disorder, which I had no idea was going to happen. My girlfriend sits me down one day and says, hey, I'm leaving. You're not the man I fell in love with. You're antisocial. You're depressed. You're anxious. I just don't feel like you can be the type of person that supports me and my goals. And she was right. Okay. And this is where you want to talk about highlighting a pain and really getting an awareness that you weren't ready for. She said, I was going to leave you during your bodybuilding show, but I was afraid if I did, you might kill yourself.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, how did we get here? How did we get here? Now, unfortunately, I didn't learn the lesson yet. So I said, right now I'm broke because my girlfriend's leaving and my bills are going to double. I need to find a way to make more money. So I just I shut up and I grinded my face off for the next year to make as much money as humanly possible. And I did. But I remember opening my final pay stub and expecting my life to feel completely different. It didn't, especially internally. Externally, it was a little bit, but internally, it didn't change at all. I realized for most of my life, I had lived unconsciously. The opposite of unconscious is hyperconscious. So I did what any young man would do, Rob. I started a podcast called the Hyperconscious Podcast in 2017. It made sense. I felt like that was the next step. I fell in love with podcasting, as you have. Yep. And I fell out of love with my job, realizing that making that money is not going to fix me. But what if this podcast can do something? So I start calling out of work. I start leaving the job sites early, showing up late. I hate my job. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I don't want to do it anymore. And all of that eventually culminated with me. I was in New Jersey for a job, so I was like 6 hours away from where I lived. Alarm clock went off. I sat up. I slid to the edge of the bed. I was lacing up my work boots. And the best way to explain it is there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time, and every single one is on a different station. And maybe you'll resonate with that depending on how you felt. And I remember thinking, I'm stuck at this job. I've never been successful, and I somehow fell into this. I can't leave. If I ever left, what would my friends say? They would think I was crazy. What would my family say? I make more money than anybody in my family ever has. And what am I going to be, a podcaster? That's what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit this and I'm going to be a podcaster? That doesn't seem very realistic. And that was my rock bottom basement moment, because I sat there thinking to myself, well, if I was just to take my life, I would take all my problems with me. And all of that happened over the course of a year and a half or 2 years. I went from looking amazing and feeling like I had everything to losing most of it and then achieving more and then sitting on the edge of a bed contemplating suicide over, probably about a year and a half to 2 years. That was the rock bottom moment.
So out of everything that you just said, the thing that stood out to me is the feeling of hopelessness, feeling terrible, feeling insecure, no self-belief, no self-worth. It all stems from lack of direction, right? Because you said that you lack direction. So the text message that I read earlier, I always say, purpose is how you beat depression. Got to have purpose. You know, and I've interviewed therapists from all over, and they all agree. You know, like when my father passed, like we watched him pass, and I'll never unsee that moment. But now I bring on people to talk about grief, and we talk about those things that happen. And it probably happened for you getting on your podcast and just owning your past, right? You just own it. Like whatever it happened already. So all we can do now is just learn from it, you know? So you had that moment, you had that contemplation. How did you flip it?
I reached out to someone I felt safe talking to about how I was feeling. And this person and I had a really good relationship. So it wasn't even, a lot of people say, oh, that was really very brave of you. It must have been hard to be that vulnerable. We had a really good relationship. So I wasn't really worried about being judged or anything like that. I reached out to he's my business partner now. So it worked out. And I said,
nice.
It worked out nice. I said, I'm having those thoughts. I'm having those feelings. I am in a very dark place. I don't know what to do. And he said, over the last couple of years, your awareness has hyper-conscious, means acutely aware, hyper-aware, has changed a ton, but your environments have remained the same. I think it's time for you to change your environment. Essentially, all he said was, this job doesn't have to be the forever job. It just feels like it does. Interesting. If you've ever been in a misaligned relationship and somebody sat you down and said, like, hey, it doesn't have to be that person, just so you know. There's other people out there. It's like, interesting. That right there creates a feeling of progress. So that conversation allowed me to see that there was a light at the end of the tunnel for my job, and I didn't have to do it forever. And it created an end date. I just kept grinding through work, trying to stack as much money as I could. And then I ended up leaving that job 3 or 4 months later. And then I became a full-time podcaster with zero income. That was the next leg of the journey, Rob.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there all the way through. The feeling of being unfulfilled. Like I managed restaurants for a while. Like I went to college, but I dropped out. Went back, dropped out again, and went back, dropped out again. So at least I'm consistent, right? The consistency is there. But it was just one day, I was just driving down to the restaurant, and I had an all-out panic attack. Like I thought I was having a heart attack, like because I was getting chest pains, sweaty. You know, my heart was racing out of my chest. It was like the worst feeling at the time that I had ever felt. And that was the moment where I knew like something's got to change, you know, and that was when I started getting into fitness. And I found that when I was teaching classes, I was happy. When I was in the restaurant, like every day I pulled in and like, I don't want to be here. You know, it's like my soul was, I don't want to say it was dead because then that would mean I was dead, but my soul was just unfulfilled, completely unfulfilled. Yeah. And making that pivot, it turned on the lights. Like I used an analogy yesterday. You can live in the most beautiful house, right? But if it's dark outside and the lights are off, you can't see anything.
Mm.
And that's what it's like when you're in that dark place. Like, because when I was there, I couldn't see the opportunities. But once I started coaching again, it relit my fire for fitness. And then I started managing a gym. I restarted my podcast. And now it's like my podcast is booking into April of 2026. Nice. And I have 40 gigs lined up to guest on other people's podcasts. And that was simply from getting back into my purpose. You guys are going to hear me say that word so many times, but all right. So now you're into podcasting. You're not making much money yet. What were your next steps?
So this wasn't a step necessarily, but I want to speak to it because it's directly connected to what you just said. I'll never forget. I was walking around the kitchen one day, and I am as broke as a man can be. At this point, I'm in debt. I am as single as a man can be. I have no prospects for love. There's not a line out the door for people who want to date broke entrepreneurs, unfortunately. But I remember I had this feeling of fulfillment and pride. I was the brokest, least successful I had probably ever been, but I was the proudest and I felt the most fulfilled. And that to me was a suggestion that this is something and I'm on the right path. That was a huge inflection point for me. Honestly, we focused on leveling up our skills. So at that point, like 2018, my business partner helped me start tracking habits. So every single day I had a little index card and it had 5 habits on it. And it would be post on social media, track your bank account, exercise for 30 minutes, fear chase, and reach out to someone in the community. And that was it. I would wake up, I'd look at it, I'd do it, I'd check it off, boom, 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 boom. We were recording podcast episodes. We were finding mentors. We were finding masterminds. It was like just a season of growth. That was like the next phase for us was just externally grow and really double down on what we think we want our character to be, because we're very much character first humans and a character first business. So that was kind of the next thing. It was just, let's interview a bunch of people. Let's see if we're any good at this. Let's get better at this. And then let's do that. And we did that very consistently for like a year. I went to my business partner and I said, dude, I got to start making money. Because if I don't make money, I can't do this anymore. I mean, at this point, I'm $30,000 in debt. And he said, this is what you should start doing. You start coaching for free. And I said, brother, I love you. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about money.
Said make money.
Make money, right? And he's like, well, you've never done personal development coaching. You don't really believe in yourself as a coach yet. And you don't have any credibility. So I think you should start coaching for free. Best thing ever. Best advice probably I've ever gotten. So I reached out to 5 people in our community who I knew. Said, hey, Rob, I've never done this before. I'm interested in doing coaching. I will coach you for free every single week for the next 2 months. What do you think? Everybody said yes. So that was me dipping my toe into coaching. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, I said, look, I want to keep doing this and I want to keep working with you. What do you think of $50 a call? And then everybody said yes. And I went from making $0 to $250 a week, which was genuinely life-changing money for me. And then it became, I'm fulfilled and this seems like it might actually have legs and it might actually resemble something that's sustainable. And that was a new injection of belief, so to speak.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm getting ready to launch a program myself. So when I was in that dark place 2 years ago, I had walked away from everything, like literally everything. But now, so in those 2 years, I worked like a dog, kind of how you did. I worked like a dog 7 days a week. I mean, I think I went to Florida for 4 days because I needed something, but 7 days a week, sometimes up to 15 hours a day to get all this stuff together. Like I published my book, and now from that book, I turned it into a coaching program.
Nice. And
I have a meeting on the 7th with a potential partner, and if this is going to be big, because it's one of those things where I'm not driven by money, I'm driven by impact. And when you're driven by impact, money will come to you. So like I'm not even concerned about that. But I just did up the business plan the other day, and it was just eye popping. Like, is this real? Like, can this really happen?
I
It's
do
like,
know,
wow.
Rob. I do know. I felt the same exact way. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So you make that pivot, and then how does life start to unfold from there?
It still sucked pretty bad. I mean, at the time, I was dealing with terrible anxiety, which I had never. So you mentioned you had a panic attack and you thought you were dying. The first time I had a panic attack, I was like, "This is it. What is what is happening?" So my anxiety got a lot worse for a while because I was under so much pressure and I was so far outside of my comfort zone for so long and I was dealing with so much uncertainty. So yeah, it got worse for a while, and it continued to get worse. Like 2019, I had my wife was my girlfriend at the time, and we were living together, and she was essentially paying all the bills, and Christmas came around and I literally couldn't afford to buy Christmas presents, and it was just broke entrepreneur stuff, just brutal stuff. That phase was like 2 or 3 years long of just my car that used to be a nice sports car starts breaking down and I can't afford to get it fixed. The brakes didn't work. It would shut off at red lights. I mean, it was like really bad. It got to like a really bad place. Then eventually, this is where things kind of started to shift. We had a mentor who said, "Hey, I want you to help me with my podcast." We were like 500 episodes in at the time or 600 episodes in. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, you know more about podcasting than anybody I know. You've done so many episodes. Help me. It's like, okay. He ended up connecting me with somebody who needed help with podcasting, and we ended up producing his show. And that was like another inflection point of, if I just get the best at podcasting, can I help people with podcasting? Interesting. That was the next phase of just get as good at this as humanly possible, because I love this. It's like a dream come true. Yes. So that was the next phase. But that phase came with getting a lot of external opportunities that my internal self did not feel I was capable of handling. Big interviews, speeches, bigger clients, and it was just riddled with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and not enoughness. That was the next phase. Maybe externally it looked like I was doing well, but internally I wanted to jump out the window every day because I never felt like I was capable of actually saying yes and then completing the things that I said yes to. That was the next sucky phase.
Well, that's called fear of success.
Yes,
because I actually spoke about that the other day because I dealt with that because I've been through a lot of ups and downs in my world, and I perform best under pressure. It's just how it is. I don't know if it's from spending much time in the restaurant, because the restaurant you're always on the go. And I think that just became part of my character, and I think I would get right to the brink of launching, because I actually wrote this program that I'm about to launch. I wrote it in 2020. Yeah. It's 2025. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. You know what I mean? So, but I think now is the time. It's like I just have to do it because of messages like that one I read earlier. Knowing that these things matter, like what we do matters. It doesn't have to matter to everybody, but the people that need to hear it matters to them. And when
Can I ask you a question, Rob?
And yeah, go ahead.
Do you think you would launch the program if what happened to you 2 years ago didn't happen?
Who knows? Because I was in a comfortable spot then.
Yeah.
So like when you're comfortable, I always say comfortable people are the worst people to work with. Right? Either people who are on rock bottom, they're eager to get out of it. Mm-hmm. People who are successful want to stay successful. It's those people in the middle.
Yeah.
Like here in the gym, it's the same thing. When people come in for consultations, I'm like, are you actually ready? Because if you're not actually ready, don't join. It's like, if you're ready to join, we can change your life. But, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate. I feel like I was talking to somebody today and they said, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a podcaster and entrepreneur and blah, blah, blah." And they said, "What do you talk about?" I said, like personal development, self-improvement. And they said, "It's so interesting. I recently found out," this is what they said to me. "I recently found out that one of the people I went to college with, who was like the most toxic, miserable person, just became a life coach." And I was like, I'm willing to bet one of two things happened. Either they're just faking it completely, which that happens,
Yeah.
or they hit rock bottom and they looked
Yep.
in the mirror and they went through massive pain and suffering and they decided, I don't ever want that to happen to anybody else. And if I can help them avoid that or work through that, that's what I'm going to dedicate my life to. For some reason, pain is a heck of a motivator. And unfortunately, to your point, there's something we call the pain-pleasure pendulum. When you swing all the way to heck no, you're willing to swing for heck yes. But if it's just like, yeah, I don't know, this kind of sucks. Yeah, it's kind of good. It kind of sucks. You're not really willing to take a fair amount of action or go through a fair amount of discomfort. So yeah, for some reason, pain is a great motivator.
Facts. So to further answer your question, I actually spoke on three different podcasts yesterday. On the third one, it's called Podcaster Nation, I believe. And yeah, great guy. Oh, we had a fabulous conversation. But you had just asked, like, would I still launch? I think I'm ready to launch now because I got into a story about my dad before he passed. He was a Vietnam veteran, very rarely spoke about the war. Like, he never wanted to talk about the war. Up until maybe 2 months before he passed, we were up at the VA as he was trying to get benefits for my mom. And he didn't want to tell his story. He's like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I was like, Dad, I'm like, we're all here. Just take your time and then share. And like, my dad was like a manly man, but he drops his head and I can see tears hitting the table. Like, only time I've ever seen this man tear up is at a funeral. And so he's tearing up and then he lifts his head up and then he just unloads. And I wish I never heard what he shared, but he carried that around for 60 years, 60 plus years. And I want to help veterans tell their stories, right? So now it's like my purpose is I want to help veterans who are in that mental dark place from being deployed and things that they've seen or lost comrades. And that's what's going to push me over the top to really get this program out there.
Okay, nice. Extra necessity, right? I'm telling you, necessity is the key to innovation, and it's the key to getting outside of your comfort zone and doing something greater than you currently feel like you're capable of. There has to be, when your back is against the wall, you're willing to do more, potentially, right? Not everybody responds to pressure the same way, so it depends. Don't put yourself under too much pressure because that's not necessarily constructive.
Yes, yeah, that just worked for me.
Yeah,
you know. So you had mentioned a second ago about when you first started that you weren't like really ready internally to go. And I know a lot of people experience that and a lot of people quit at that point too. So what made you keep going?
I have a business partner who has believed in me more than I have believed in myself for the vast majority of this. So I didn't have to do it alone, which I'm privileged in. That's one piece. The second piece is I understood how lucky I would be if I got to live my dreams. I mean, most people don't get to leave their job when they're 28 years old and chase a dream to be a professional podcaster. Like, I am so privileged to even have that opportunity. I didn't have a family. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have any responsibilities really. So it was always this for me. Most people, unfortunately, jump into a pool. They try to collect as much money as possible and get out of the pool as fast as possible. It was the opposite for me. I jumped into this pool and I said, I need to learn how to swim because I don't ever want to get out. I want to live in this pool. I want to dedicate my life to this pool, and I'm going to learn how to swim, and I want to learn how to swim as well as humanly possible. It was that, and to your point, I can't imagine ever doing anything else that's nearly as fulfilling as this. I would regret it if I quit. Would it make the moment easier? Yes. Would it make the month easier? Yes. But I would regret that, and I would look back and say, wow, I really wish I could do that again. And I just was never willing to throw in the towel and give that up. So it was a mixture of a lot of things, but I'm just blessed and I'm privileged. Now, my life is hard in a privileged pressure kind of way. I get to choose my pressure, but I'm not hanging out. I still work 12 hours a day almost every day. Like, that just is what it is. So we're out here grinding, but it's aligned. It's the most aligned the grind has ever been. And I think that's key for me.
Yeah, alignment is everything. Like there's many successful people out there who are unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look at the amount of celebrities that have drug habits and are alcoholics. They have ended their lives. You know, like Robin Williams. You know, everyone thought he was a happy-go-lucky man, but internally he was unfulfilled. Like something caused that. So when you find something that lights your soul on fire, like it's visible. Like when you talk, I can tell that you love what you're doing.
Mm.
No, it's like you can tell when I share my stories of the things that I've gone through. It's like I share deep from the heart, and I don't leave out any details, good, bad, or ugly. You know, and people have to have that level of vulnerability, because when you do that, people want to hear your story.
100%.
Like like right, you can't just come on camera and just talk at people. You know, it's like that doesn't draw them in.
Yeah.
And that's a skill set that I work with people on, is how to tell your story. Like, for example, quickly, then I'll throw it back to you.
Please.
I MC an event every April. We were up in West Boylston, Massachusetts, and the keynote speaker from last year, like, he had a fascinating story. He just was awful at telling it. So he had totally lost the crowd. People were on their phones. Some of the vendors got up and went back to their vendor booths. So I had, and I'm not saying it's because of me. He got a lot of additional help, but I spent about an hour or so with him on a call like this, and completely revamped the way he told the story. So when he spoke this year, it was a complete 180. So it's a skill set that people are going to have for life. And what you're doing, you guys are helping people change their lives. Like, it's not just, I'm a podcaster. You obviously call yourself what you want to call yourself, but you're a world changer, man. You're a world changer. Like, the things that we do literally has the power to save people's lives.
For sure. Well, one of the reasons I like to say I'm a podcaster is because it usually opens the line of communication, because people are like, what do you mean? That's what you do full time? When I used to go to weddings and people would say, what do you do? I wouldn't want to tell them. Like, I don't worry. I just kind of go with the flow, Now, when people ask, the first thing I say is I'm a podcaster, because it usually opens people up to ask more questions. And that's when I can say, this is what it's about. So I'm just obsessed with podcasting, right? There's not, if you're going to do an episode every single day for the rest of your life, you got to be dedicated to the craft, and you got to love it. You're like, I love this more than anything else, for sure.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's like I actually just added two more days, because I usually do Tuesday and Thursday at noon, but those 2 days are booking into April of 2026.
Yeah.
So I just opened up Mondays and Fridays.
Nice.
So I can get more people in, because I'm here at the gym until 11:30 anyway, and all of my podcast stuff is here.
Yeah.
So when I'm done with the last class, I just set everything up, and off we go. So it's not like it's not time consuming for me to add those 2 extra days. And then the people that I meet are amazing. You know what I mean? It's like there was really, out of all of these episodes, I mean, I know you guys have thousands of episodes, right? But out of all these episodes, there's only 2 where I kind of had to drag the guests through the episode, right? But other than that, people, they're happy, they're well versed in their stories, they're living in their passion and in their purpose, and it's just such a great. Like, look, we've been talking for almost 40 minutes already. Like, the time goes by when the conversation is flowing,
I do.
What are next steps for you?
What are next steps in terms of what? Right now?
Just in general.
Oh, who knows, Rob? Just doing the same things over and over. It's like Groundhog Day, but in a good way. It's we're super focused on just getting a little bit better every day. It's super unsexy. But my life is designed where I can just get a little bit better today than I was yesterday, and then do the same thing tomorrow. And when you do that enough times, that's when you really start to see compounding and you start to see results. So yeah, for us, it's let's get a little bit better today. Let's add a little bit more value. Let's grow the business a little bit more. Let's pour that back in, and boom, 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 rinse and repeat that forever. Very unsexy answer, but that is the vibe for us. We shut up and we grind, and then we pour what we grind back into the business and just impact more people. That's it. Forever is the goal.
Yeah, see, and that's purpose. That's purpose. Like I get up at 4:30 every morning, and people always say, like, how do you do that? I'm like, check this out, right? The alarm goes off, I turn it off, I sit up, I turn on the lights, I get out of bed. Like, that's the secret, right? The alarm goes off, get up. So, but it's one of those things where being here at the gym, people are dependent on me.
Yeah.
Doing my podcast, my audience shows up to hear what the guests have to say. When I'm guesting on podcasts, I'm showing up for that host audience.
Mm-hmm.
So on and so forth. Like I coach, the season ended a couple weeks ago, but I coach indoor and outdoor track and field as well.
Nice.
So I have to show up for the athletes. So like, yes, I work long days sometimes, but everything that I do is impactful.
Yeah. And
that's what drives me, is helping people, to use your words, helping people to get better every day.
Yeah. Same. We had a mentor who became a friend, and he had a very powerful quote. He said, "What you create creates you. What you create creates you." We do a podcast episode every day. I have to do a podcast episode every day if I want to get better every day. And if I tell you you can get better every day, I better be there leading the charge. That's why we do an episode every day. Very honestly, I don't always want to do it. I don't. We're recording 2 tonight from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. I'm not going to finish until 8. I'm not jazzed about it, but I will be so fulfilled when I do it, and I'm always grateful after I did. And it's not always about you wanting to do the thing in the moment. It's about you feeling grateful that you did, feeling purpose through it, feeling fulfilled after. There's something to that I know if more people found, I think it would start to pivot a lot of people's lives. If you can find what fulfills you and just lean into it a little more, you're not going to make any money in the beginning. It's not going to happen most likely, and that's okay. You will get pride, you will get joy, and you will feel fulfillment. There's something about that. You probably won't want to let that go, and you'll probably find a way to make money.
See, and I want to illustrate that. Like I had just mentioned, I coach track and field. So when you take over a new team, so when I first took that team over, I told more so the field event athletes, like, more than likely you're gonna regress before you progress. Say, because I have to fix all of the bad habits. Not saying that every other coach isn't a good coach, but there was just a bunch of bad habits with these particular athletes, and a lot of them had a hard time grasping that. But it's the same thing in life. Like when I left the restaurant and went at fitness, I had to become a better version of me, because not having that college degree, not having like accounting experience, not having marketing and branding experience, I had to go out and learn all that stuff. So I traveled the country going to masterminds, California, Colorado, Chicago, Miami, and I learned what I needed to learn. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They'll say, "Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't do that." Like back to coaching, when I got there, we don't have a throws coach, right? The prior coach was there for 7 years. It's like, you didn't learn the throws? It's like, we don't have a throws coach. So I studied the throws. And so now I can guide the throwers. You know what I mean? It's like, It's like people have to be willing to level up. And so how do you keep yourself inspired to level up every day?
I look back at old content, and I look back at 2018, I look back at 2019, and just check in with how far we've come and how much has changed and how much I've grown and how dumb I sounded back then compared to how I sound today and how naive I was. I just look back, man, because it's so easy to lose sight of the day-to-day. It's so easy, right?
Thanks.
I did 3 episodes yesterday. I'm going to do 5 episodes today. I'm no better today than I was yesterday, at least not measurably. But you compare today to 5 years ago, it's night and day. So that's a big piece of it. And then I think the other thing is I try to attach to the why. Why are we doing this? When we get messages just like you, it's like, that's what this is about. It's not about me. It's not about anything more than the fact that we're trying to add value. So those are 2 really big ways. And then very honestly, we aspire to have the most successful personal development company on the planet. It doesn't matter if I'm motivated. It doesn't matter if I'm inspired. It doesn't matter if I want to do it. I must do what must get done in order to accomplish the goal.
Yes.
So The goal dictates the emotions far more than almost anything else does, and
Yes.
that's not for everyone, but that works really well for us.
Yeah, and that ties into to what I was saying about purpose. You just said goal, but we're speaking about the same thing. Like I wake up when that alarm goes off because people are there for me to impact.
Yep.
Get claiming their health, reversing type 2 diabetes, lowering cholesterol, lowering blood pressure, increasing energy, all that. Like those are all very important things.
For sure.
It's not like we just come here, shake our hips and leave. It's like we're working towards a specific goal. Like when I first came to this location, I had all the members, all the clients write their goal. We have a big whiteboard in the other side of the gym. I'm pointing like you can see, right? And I had everyone write their goals. I want to know what are they working towards here, and then I build the workouts accordingly. And then working with people on the personal development, and it always starts with, what do you want? And half of them don't know.
Yep.
And it's like, that's why you're stuck. See, for me, I'm 50 now. I said, by the time I'm 55, I want the option to retire. Like, I probably won't. I just want the option. I want to have accumulated so much impact, change my financial situation to where I could be like, you know what? I could walk away and be fine. Like, I want to get to that point. And that requires me to get up, shut up, and get it done.
Same, brother. Same. I mean, my that's not necessarily my specific goal, but yeah, it's the reason a purpose is so much different than a goal is the purpose is the reason. What is the reason for what you're doing? It's not what you want to accomplish. It's the whys. Why do I want to accomplish it? Who do I want to impact? Why is that so important? That's why purpose is different. Motivation fades. It is a fuel that burns very hot but very quickly. Purpose is a fuel that burns very cool but for a long period of time, maybe forever if you know how to relight the fire. And yeah, purpose is something special. When you get it, you got to hang on to it because it is something special.
Absolutely. Like, I try to shy away from the later guest appearances just because I do wake up so early. So I'm usually laying down by 7:30.
Yeah.
Because like I was supposed to speak on one at 9 p.m. This was a couple years ago, and I slept right through the alarm. It's like I woke up at like 12:30. I was like, oh no! I was like, they're gonna think I blew them off. Because when I even booked it, at first I was like, ooh, 9 p.m. I'm like, I'm usually already asleep by then.
Same.
But I'm not at the point where I can be picky.
Yeah.
So I was gonna do my best to show up, but I mean, I'm human. Things happen. Fortunately, they forgave me.
Of course.
But when I was first starting, like, you have to do what you got to do. Like, I had a couple international gigs, speaking virtually with Australia. So to get on Australia's morning show, that's like 1 a.m. here. No, I'm sorry. For the evening show, it's like 1 a.m. here. So I'm like, really? So yeah, I took a nap at like 6. And I ended up waking up at 1:10 in the morning for a 1:15 news spot.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to do what you got to do.
That's what it's about. Yeah. I used to do 6 a.m. coaching calls. It's like, what do you when do you want to do it? 6 a.m. I don't want to, but yeah, whatever. I mean, you don't always have the benefit of choice, and especially when you're grinding, you're trying to build something that doesn't exist yet. I think one of the most important things is to stay humble, because the second you get entitled, you lose it all. Humility is a superpower. It just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, it's like, in that regard, with me, I live very simply. And what losing everything taught me was that I don't need things.
Yeah.
And to be at that place, I mean, I like to travel. And when I travel, I want to stay in a nice place. But other than that, I'm a very, very simple man. and again, because I'm not doing this for a monetary reason. A monetary reason is a good side effect, but to help somebody have that breakthrough, that's where the true value to me, that's where that lies. So what types of people do you work with in your coaching?
Humble, heart-driven people who aspire to do what we're doing and talking about today. If somebody comes to me and their number one focus is money, I'm probably not the guy for you. Money is great, and it's a byproduct of impact, and it's a byproduct of other things. if it's number one, it's dangerous because that means you're potentially willing to do things outside of alignment for it. So we tend to work with very humble, heart-driven people who have found their purpose and they're trying to figure out how do I do more of it more sustainably and impact more people. I mean, that is essentially our ideal listener and our ideal client. But we've learned over the years that there are certain people that are for us and there are certain people that aren't. But if you're humble, I don't care if you're the smartest person. I don't care if you want to change the world in a massive way. If you're humble, we're going to get along just fine.
Yeah, that's what fractured my last business relationship. We were having a business meeting, we're talking about, getting more revenue in. And the model that I put together for training, it was working. It's like we're getting new people in every single month. The marketing's working. And he wanted to put in now this guy had a finance background. Like he doesn't know anything about fitness outside of what I taught him.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to put in like different styles, like Pilates and yoga and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to get away from what drives them. One sentence killed our relationship. He said, I don't care about those people. But then he walked it back, right? He quickly walked it back. He's like, oh, I didn't mean that. Like that rolled right off of your tongue. Like you meant that. Yeah. And so, I mean, from there, the relationship was doomed. But that's because like when my clients come in here, it's like, I know it's cliche, but it's really like family. It's like I go to work for them, to better their lives, to get them more confidence, to build their self-esteem. Like, yeah. And for them, like losing weight, gaining muscles, that's a byproduct. Like they don't even know in the beginning. You're coming into a personal development program that I just happen to use fitness as the outlet.
Yep.
Kind of like the podcast. So, all right. So what's something that you want to share that we haven't covered yet?
Oh, man. I am not nearly as confident as you think. I probably have way less than you think I do figured out. I still have self-doubt. I still have days I don't want to do it. I don't know if life gets easier. I think you just get better. And there's still pressure and there's still struggles and I still make mistakes every day. And I think that's awesome. And each and every one of you are going to go through the same thing. So don't aspire to get to a place where everything is perfect and nothing goes wrong. Aspire to get to a place where you are making progress, and when things do go wrong, you know how to fix it. And I feel like I try to be an example of that. That it's easy to go through the story and say like, oh, where are you now? But forget to highlight that where we are now has its own unique set of problems. And I just always think that's important to touch on because, again, just like I was the guy who looked like I had everything, internally I was struggling. Now that's not the case to that degree, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's stressful, and it's okay to struggle. You're gonna struggle. It's okay to struggle, especially when you want something more than you have today. So yeah, that would probably be it. Something simple like that.
See, so you said something just now that's actually hanging on the wall in the other room. It says,
what is it?
It never gets easier. You get stronger.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
The weight is the same. Like when you're lifting the weight, the weight is the same. You get stronger and it feels easier. The weight didn't change. You did.
Exactly. See, and you also just said too, life is, you're going to struggle. Like nobody coasts through life. Nobody does. Even the people with all the money in the world and all the power in the world, they're going to struggle. It happens. People are going to lose people. People are going to lose their job. People are going to have their relationships crumble. All of that stuff happens, but you don't want to hide it. Like you go to Instagram, it's the happiest place on earth. You know what I mean? Because people only post the good parts of their life. Yeah. Like it says up above us, your true power lies in your story, right? And it's not all the happy-go-lucky stuff. It's about you coming on here and talking about being in that dark place and doubting your own worth to continue living. That's where the power is in the story, to get on these platforms and be like, I was in that hellhole. Yes. I was there.
Yes.
You know, wondering, should I just make it easier and just take myself out? Yeah. Like it takes a lot to get up here and do that. So I commend you for that. I commend you for what you and your team are doing. You guys are helping to change the world one story at a time. And I want to throw it back to you for the final word.
Oh man, number one, thank you so much for having me. It's abundantly clear that you're doing this for amazing reasons, so I love that and I love you for it. Last thing I would say before I get out of here, the biggest difference between who you are today and who you aspire to be is your habits. So make positive habits a priority, and I'm willing to bet that your life will shift in a deeply meaningful way. And who knows, you might end up 5 years from today not recognizing the 5 year ago version of you.
Thanks. And I have all your contact info, and it'll be in the description section, but still tell people where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, the podcast is Next Level University, an episode every day. It's on all the platforms. It's on YouTube. And then my email is kevin@nextleveluniverse.com. And then my handle on Instagram, if you like Instagram, even though, again, it's not the most positive place in the world. It just looks like it. My handle is @NeverQuitKid, if you want to follow me there.
@NeverQuitKid. All right, yeah, I'll follow you on there too.
I appreciate it.
All right, well, again, thank you very much. I'm going to go subscribe to your podcast because, like I said, we just met today. It's like people who follow the show, they know I don't meet with the guests ahead of time. So I learn everything in real time. And like I said, you got a great story. You're doing great things. And just, again, thank you for coming to share.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me.
All right, take care.
You too.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.